Hello, at-home alcoholics. No, that's bad. DIY drunkards. Backyard bartenders. So, first of all, I am not a bartender professional or amateur. I just kind of like to drink and mix drinks. But this is one of those I don't need to have experience to really tell you, I tried the whole do-it-myself bartending and I enjoy it. Here are some of the tips and tricks in terms of picking your arsenal for your poison. So what I'm gonna do here, we're gonna start off with the actual tools, your tools of trade, from mixing glass to shakers to even your fruit knife, in my opinion. And then we're gonna go through the heavy booze that you actually have and your mixers / liqueurs. Before we start, I do want to sort of reiterate, when picking out your selection for your bar, especially your home bar, you have to really keep in mind your budget, what you actually like to drink, what you plan on serving, because a lot of this may be redundant or not even useful. So the first thing, for example, a fruit knife. Do you really need a specified fruit knife? You can just use a regular knife. But anyways, let's get through going through all of these one by one. So the first primary thing you gotta care about is your shaker. Now I'm lazy, there's a bunch of them, the cobblers, I forget if it's the Boston or New York style, but this is what I picked and I'll link it at the bottom. I don't make any money off of this. This has had almost everything I needed for a fraction of the cost of buying it individually. So I'll open it up right here. It has a 1 ounce, 2 ounce jigger with actual indents inside. It's kind of hard to see. That can sort of help you with the 3/4 or ½ ounces. Has this, I don't know, this might be a foot long mixing spoon. I don't really need it any longer. Your fine strainer, a modern muddler, it's metallic and then has the rubber stop bottom instead of like a pure wood one. I don't know how to define this, but the other strainer you use normally in front of your cup or whatever mixing glass. I don't even know what this is, but it's helpful to have. It comes with 3 pours. I don't know where the third one went, but just, it's all described in it. It comes with a little cocktail book. And most of all, it comes with the regular shaking glasses. Works great for me. And you don't have to bother matching because since it came in a set, it's perfect, really. Oh, and lastly, ice tongs. So in my opinion, this is the best bang for your buck. I haven't really ran into any problems with these. People might think they're lower quality, but unless you're a professional bartender, I don't really think you should spend much more than this. So that's my recommendation. Cocktail shaker set has all of this. It's fantastic. But if you're doing the more cobble style, then obviously this isn't going to work for you. I think these come in 3 different colors. I think there's a pinkish one, a copper one, and this is the gunmetal? Yeah. First recommendation, easy enough. You have to take anything from this video. If you've never had a bartend or your own bar, this is just easy. Easy, just throw the money in there, you have almost all you need. And now in the next order of necessity, I would put this up there. It looks plastic. I think I just grabbed this from Bevmo, but it's your lime squeezer, and I guess if you cut the fruit small enough, it's fine. The only complaint, maybe you have really big lemons or limes and you may opt for a bigger one, but this honestly is my next most used tool compared to the other bits in the cocktail shaker set. From here, it's really just preference, and some may argue it's not preference, it's a necessity, and I'll go through sort of the reason why. So the next sort of upsetting, or maybe controversial piece of equipment, I would say, is your mixing glass. In my opinion, you do not need a mixing glass if you have those 2 cups from the cocktail shaker, because they're plenty big. And especially since these things can go for quite a penny. This is, I believe, an off-brand one from Amazon. regular Yarai shaking glass, or sorry, Yarai mixing glass. The difference in the mixing glasses are actually just this pattern out here. So they're not a brand or anything or a certain make or even a dimension. So I can at least say for certain this a bar above brand, I think it's Amazon or something. It fits with that strainer that I previously had. It works great, it looks pretty enough. I heard some people complain that this bottom part gets a bit foggy after cleaning it for a while. I haven't had many problems with that. That being said, I don't use this all the time. You know, shaken, stirred, very rarely will I need this mixing glass. But if you had to choose an economic one, this one is great with that set. I think Cocktail Kingdom tends to be the name brand that everyone goes for, so if you want to spend a little bit more, just go Cocktail Kingdom, no problems there, no questions asked. Alright, next in your optional equipment, I have a Yolk Separator. This isn't the greatest one, there might be better, it might be worse. There's a fish one that plucks the yolk out. Utusmo, I don't know, but it works, kind of, takes a bit of a while. I use this often because I make whiskey sours often. That's why this is optional. If you don't ever make a whiskey sour or you ever need the egg whites, then this is probably useless and you don't need it. The peelers, every bartender might say that you need one for garnishing, but if I'm making drinks at home, I tend to be very lax about garnish. You know, I don't always buy a bunch of fruits. Just lime and lemons is the majority of what I use, and there's no point of garnishing much with a lemon peel or a lime peel. If I'm wrong, go ahead and correct me on that. Next is a fruit knife and cutting board. I don't believe this is necessary. I happen to already have one at home, but literally just a knife and a cutting table, you probably already have it. Why spend much more money on a smaller version? If you need it, you find that you have your own personal bar setup, because I often end up doing it in the kitchen anyways. But if you have your own sidebar, then this is perfect. This is great for you. You will want to do this just to ignore walking, reduce your walking times. Ice. So I might get a lot of hate for this recommendation. I just use an ice tray of regular ice. There's this whole idea that you need really big ice, or if you're a true bartender, you're gonna get a giant block of clear ice. I am not a true bartender, not a profession. Hobby it's a purely hobby thing. The other thing is large ice blocks. I tend not to be able to, I don't have glasses. So that's something on your list you probably wouldn't want to ask. I think all I have are wine glasses really and some rocks glasses. I do not have a need for really fancy ice. Not to mention the whole argument that clear ice is going to melt less than sort of this white ice. That is true. The quote-unquote impurities is why there's white ice, but really the difference is marginal. You're not going to notice which one's going to melt more. The size is what makes the difference. So if I had a recommendation, get ice trays that are bigger in blocks, but ice is ice, and sometimes it's not that necessary. Don't use whiskey rocks unless you want them to look cool. It doesn't keep things cold, but it may look cool. Some honorable mentions that I don't carry. I have toothpicks that you may want to use as your little holder for garnish. Again, I don't garnish a lot. Once again, glasses, variety of different glasses, coupes, the martini glass, the rocks glasses. Definitely want more. I just use whatever I have. And there's that mat that bartenders have. I would actually want to purchase one because it'll drain the liquid, gets your counter a lot less sticky. So besides that, again, up to you. It's your bar. I'm just giving some economic recommendations. And then we have my impulse buy. I have an atomizer for vermouth, sweet vermouth, for martinis. I've used this a few times. I don't know. It was just there. I saw it. I grabbed it. Honorable mention, I guess. From here, I don't have much more hardware or tools. So depending on what drinks you really need to look out for or to want to make in specific, you will customize your bar to it, you know? There's no true answer for this. It's what you want to make, how you want to make it, etc., etc. All right, so the next thing I want to go over is your hard liquors, or your spirits or whatever. I sort of divide them into easy categories of, and you're not going to see it because it's panned off, gin, vodka, tequila, rum, and whiskey / bourbon. The last one might get me in trouble. But let's just go through these really quick, some of my recommendations on how to pick them really. All right, first thing is gin. I am not a gin person, so I sort of go with the generic, safe brands. This Boodles, Beef Eaters is pretty good. I have no idea what this is. It's a gift from my cousin, and I have no idea if it's any good. So my first recommendation about hard liquor, if you know what you like, get it. If you don't know what you like, then there's no harm just getting a 750 milliliter. Just aim for about 20 bucks in price tag, and you'll be pretty safe. Go for whatever name brands. Again, gin, Boodles, Beef Eaters, that's all I can recommend. If you are expecting to use gin a lot, then don't get it at all or get a smaller quantity. Again, the 750 milliliter ones tend to be just really the right size. You know, you're not drinking it up in a frat party, you're making drinks. Now we have vodka. I have a real love-hate relationship. First of all, don't get this. Again, gift. It's not open. I don't know if I'll ever use it. Even as a mixer, I don't think I'm gonna love it. The usual brands to stay with, you have Sky, you have Ciroc, and you have Smirnoff. If you like vodka or expect to use a lot of vodka drinks, then I would follow your instinct. Don't follow me. I tend to like the Russian vodkas because they tend to be much more flavorful. In my opinion, the sort of French style, I think, like a Grey Goose or whatnot, tend to stay with a very harsh single flavor. I don't like that, I really don't, but Russian vodka, pretty good. And I didn't know if this was gonna be good, that's why I only bought it in the 750 milliliters. So, again, that's your key, you know. In this case, it's quantity over quality, because you're making a lot of drinks. You don't know what's your favorite type of alcohol yet. Explore rather than spend 40 bucks on a big container and end up not liking it. Now we get to slight complications. We have rum. Rum can be good, bad, delicious, harsh, etc., etc. And then there's also dark and light rum. Now, I'm gonna say a very bad thing. I usually don't care when I mix my drink. If it's dark when it should be light, I'll just be like, oh, it adds color. Some drinks require both. I do not yet know the difference. I am just starting rum for myself. Bacardi is your typical, let's call it your staple brand. That being said, and I don't have a bottle of it anymore, I love Myers rum, almost all of them. Affordable, tastes good, both colors, great. Ray and Nephews is also a very good honorable mention. I have a Jamaican friend that loves it. And then this is a special one I got before. It's called OFTD. 69% alcohol, really kicks into the flavor. For me, it tastes like super alcoholic coffee / chocolate. I don't like coffee and chocolate that much. So I can't drink this straight. Makes an interesting mixer, to say the least. And this is one of those things, you know, get a 750 milliliter bottle, that's interesting. But once again, you can't go wrong. Bacardi, Myers, Ray and Nephew, that's what I would say. You need something more spiced. I don't know what to help you there. Don't try to avoid like Captain Morgan and stuff, in my opinion. If you love it, then I'm sorry for offending you. Oh, and before I forget, if you only want to get one rum for your bar, I would recommend light rum instead of dark. It just tends to be more often used in cocktail recipes, so it makes the most sense. All right, now we get to tequila, which some people may call your trashy drinks, and honestly, that's up to them. So first recommendation, don't use añejo for your bar. They're an aged type of whiskey, 1 to 3 years. They tend to be much darker than this. I love drinking them by themselves, but I don't think they belong in most cocktail flavors. An easy way to try it, Hornitas has an añejo flavor tequila that is super affordable and tastes great for its price. Now we're gonna go to my personal recommendations. This is a much more expensive tequila. I wouldn't use it. It's very harsh and strong, maybe not great for all your cocktails. This is both my sipping and mixing tequila. It is fantastic. It's Poland. I'm not gonna bother pronouncing. The only golden rule I have for tequila is for bartending. Make it clear, get 100% agave, and you probably won't have any issues, no questions asked. And now, last but not least, your whiskey slash rye slash bourbons. This is much more of a complicated manner. Here is my single opinion, which I hope does not cause a lot of hate, is if you had to pick one liquor to replace all of those rye, whiskey, bourbons, whatever, pick a bourbon. Because obviously this is Scotch. You're not going to use a Scotch in a liquor unless you're making, I think there's something called the Affinity might use it, or a Highland Ball or something, Highland Park. Scotch is Scotch. If you have a Scotch drinker, you will probably just get the Scotch and drink it by itself. It does not really belong in your bartending arsenal. And then you can get to more expensive whiskeys, which is fantastic if you plan to use expensive whiskeys in your cocktail, which I don't. So here is my economic bourbon here, Lone Hand whiskey. It's some silver medal winning whiskey, this large quantity for 20 bucks or less. It's really, really sweet though. So the reason I say bourbon is a good substitute is because of the sweet flavor made from corn instead of the usual wheat. It tends to easily flow into cocktails even when it shouldn't be, when it should be more bitter cocktail or a less sweet rye and such. And in that case, I would just add more bitters and then it usually fixes that problem. That being said, this is not what I would recommend. This just happened to be on the shelf and I grabbed it. I mean, bourbon, I love a lot. So Buffalo Trace, Bullet, Monkey Shoulder. Anyways, what I'd recommend for bourbon bourbon to put in your cocktails. Bullet is good. Buffalo Trace tends to be the most bang for your money in my opinion. Monkey Shoulder, although I'm not sure if that's a bourbon or a whiskey, I have to look that up again. And possibly Wild Turkey, but not the 101. That tends to be a bit too harsh for cocktails. If we're asking about straight whiskey, I unfortunately don't have too many recommendations for whiskey to put in the cocktail since I prefer more of the Scotch or the Japanese whiskeys. That being said, I do believe a blended whiskey would probably taste the best in cocktails. Someone can remind me for that. So yeah, that's the hard liquors. Once again, if you want to spend more money for your type of liquor for your mixing, then do it. You know, there's no reason to stay economical if you know what you want. For instance, if I wanted Colonel Taylor's, which is I believe is like a $50 bourbon. That's quite expensive for bourbon, but that's also my favorite bourbon. I'm gonna go for it. Yeah. And now we have the liqueurs. This is super preferential to you. So I have Midori here because I like Tokyo teas. I'd say it's my fancy take on Long Island iced tea. Really, it's just less common and it's bright green. It works with everyone. That being said, triple sec or any orange liqueur, you are going to probably want one because it's used in so many recipes, without a doubt. And back here I have my more specific / special liqueurs. I have Goldschlager, which is cinnamon snaps liqueur with gold flakes. I don't know when I'm going to use this. I just happen to have it as a gift. Kahlua, you probably do want a coffee liqueur. Tends to show up in a bit of recipes. This is a pretty staple. Don't worry about it. Just get it if you need it. And lastly, a almond liqueur. I forgot what cocktail I use this for, but I like having it around. That being said, these are not absolutely necessary. If I had to pick one to only have for a bar, triple sec, orange liqueur. Can't go wrong with this. That being said, again, you don't need this if you don't expect to ever use this. Vermouth. I'm gonna make it quick and easy. I don't drink a lot of vermouth. I wouldn't know the differences. I know this is the brand everyone uses, Martini and Rossi. I have a big bottle of sweet vermouth because I use a lot of it. And a small bottle of dry vermouth. I've used this like twice. So, that's it. I don't have many recommendations. Sometimes you don't need much more. Then you have bitters. And you can get into a deep, deep rabbit hole with bitters. But, easy one, Angostura, I believe is the name brand everyone uses. Just go with that. It costs a bit more, but honestly, I don't use it that much. Aromatic bitters. That is my recommendation. If you needed just one bitter, one brand, one and done, this is it. I have a cherry bitter, which I thought I would use, and I have yet to open it, as you can see. So, impulse buying bitters, maybe not a good idea. Doesn't hurt to have a variety. They don't cost too much, but you know, to each their own. All right, and then we're gonna have our non-alcoholic liquids. I have club soda. It's club soda. I have diet tonic water. To be honest, I can't tell the difference in flavor, and it's 1/10 of the calories. So why not? It's really obvious. If you need these or not, check out your cocktail recipes, see if you need them. Here is something you will for sure need. Ignore the color. You will want simple syrup, or you can make it yourself. Just buy it. It's like $4 for a big one. Brand name does not matter. It's sugar and water, so just pick the cheapest thing. If you want specific flavors, then maybe it does matter. Here, I'm experimenting putting fruit snacks and stuff inside. Gives it this really murky color, also makes it very fruity and sweet. So kind of a neutral opinion on this, but yeah, simple syrup for sure. You need it, you need it, you need it. If you need heavy simple syrup, that's per recipe. And now, last but not least, your fruits. Notice I only have a jar of bourbon cherries here because I'm actually out of fruit. But limes and lemons. You need limes and lemons. Check how much you need for your recipes. I tend to go about 50-50 for both. Just get a lot. You'll use them. Some honorable mentions are like oranges, maybe some strawberries if you want to sort of blend things out and such like that. Now and obviously you have some special garnishes if you want to do. Oranges tend to be a very common garnish. Now, normally you should have maraschino cherries. Everyone would tell you maraschino cherries are the best. Without a doubt, they are the best, but I don't want to spend $20 on a jar of cherries. But this is my Tipsy cherries. They're bourbon infused cherries. No one has really noticed a difference. I mean, maybe I don't have tough customers. They're just family and friends. I use this as my economic substitute. It's like $3-4 versus $20 for a maraschino cherry jar. But quantity over quality, this is the argument for that over there. And that's it. I do have a few more stuff, but I'm not really going to showcase it. Like I have a blender for daiquiris, margaritas, etc. I have a magic bullet, but in my opinion, you really don't need it unless you really want an icy drink or a specific thing. Again, if you want to make clear ice, there's thousands of videos on it. The idea is just basically every side except one is insulated so it freezes one direction. Bam, clear ice. If you really want it. That's aesthetics, more effort and work. You always lose X amount of water with making it. Fancy ice trays, etc. But yeah, let me know if anyone has a vehemently opposing opinion on anything I've said here. Overall, my whole set cost less than $200. Maybe that sounds like a lot to some people, in which case just, pay it down. Don't need to spend so much or do certain payments. If you're gonna make a specific cocktail, get that liquor first and slowly work on the full bar. And yeah, so that's all I have to say. Keep drinking, friends.